Nice
All
to
right.
see you.
What's up? What is it today?
Oh, I brought you in a really amazing piece of American history. If it wasn't for this book, we'd probably all be speaking with English accents today.
Okay.
It was printed in Philadelphia in 1779. The book itself is called The Regulations for the Order and Discipline of the Troops of the United States. This was really the first drill book for the United States Army. It taught them how to be soldiers.
Actually, it's pretty amazing.
I keep coming back to the shop because they have a genuine interest in books and they pay fair prices. It's hard to find books that are so important in American history in their original state. This was the American Revolution. Who would have thought of saving a book when you had to worry about your life? I mean, these were a bunch of ragtag soldiers, and they're fighting a professional British army. So in 1777, Washington withdrew to Valley Forge for the winter encampment. And they didn't know what to do. They were losing men. They were very unhappy. General Washington almost lost his position as commander-in-chief. So they brought in this very famous Prussian military officer to start training the American troops, Baron von Steuben.
So you're saying this book was written by von Steuben?
Yeah, this was really a turning point. This allowed General Washington to train his troops, showing them how to use things like bayonets, teaching them in weapons. Here's really one of the first times you think of a modern army, you think of attention. At this word, the soldier must be silent, stand firm and steady, moving neither hand nor foot.
Yeah, he was absolutely amazing with the troops and basically transformed, you know, the citizen farmer soldier into a soldier.
Exactly.
Some people say that von Steuben just showed up one day looking to get a job. Others say that he was recommended by Ben Franklin himself. Either way, he whipped the American soldiers into shape, and we kicked some British ass.
There's plates at the back of the book, which are quite interesting. This actually shows the layout of the camp.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that he wanted to implement was, where do you put the quartermaster? Where do you put the surgeon? Where do you put the kitchen?
Okay.
This wasn't obvious to, you know, untrained Army cadets.
Very, very interesting. Do you know if it's the first edition? Do you know how many editions there were?
There were many editions because it became such an important book. It really became what's called the Blue Book of the American Army. It was issued to many of the soldiers. But this is the actual first edition from 1779, first time it was printed.
All right. So I'm assuming this is the original binding. The paper's right. And this is all handmade paper.
Sure.
I mean, it looks rough, but it's almost 250 years old. I mean, my problem is just figuring out a price.
Yeah, I understand completely. I'm looking for $6,500 for it.
I don't know if that's absolutely an insane number or a fair number. You've met Rebecca before. Let me get her down here to take a look at it.
It's a great number. Don't even bother calling her. So.
That just makes me want to call her even more.
Sure, you got
Give
it.
you a few minutes.
No problem. I'm happy he's going to call Rebecca again. I mean, she really knows her stuff. Sometimes she's come in lower than I would have liked for books in the past. I can only cross my fingers, you know, and hope this time.
One of my regulars brought in a book that was used to train soldiers during the Revolutionary War. If it's as important as he says, it's going to be worth a lot of money. But I'm not taking his word for it. So Rebecca is coming in to tell me what she thinks.
You brought me another book?
The original field manual from the Revolutionary War by von Steuben himself.
The Baron. Okay. This is a very cool book. The Baron actually is a really cool character in himself. He was in the Prussian army under Frederick the Great, so he had a good amount of experience in one of the world-famous armies. So Washington said, all right, here are 100 men. Drill them and show me. So the Baron did and proved himself. The Baron's Regulations was essentially the manual that standardized everything dealing with military troops and discipline. Washington was a brilliant general, but that means nothing if the soldiers won't follow his orders.
So now, is this the first edition?
Listen, there were 5 editions published during the American Revolution alone. 1779, Steiner and Sist. These are the Philadelphia publishers. It has the plates, everything in place. It is a first edition.
Okay.
It's miraculous that this book would survive, and I really like it.
Okay.
I kind of want it, but...
Okay. I know different books are graded on condition differently. This book with someone's name scrawled across the front of it. And...
Yeah. Rick, here's the thing. A book in the original boards, to the uninitiated, often kind of looks trashy. But this is the original binding put on by the binder Robert Aitken in 1779.
Okay.
That is exceptional by itself. Any collector of Americana, American Revolution, they're going to want this, and they're going to want it bad because you don't see copies, okay?
Okay.
So I mean, I'd give it a healthy price. I would put the retail up at $18,000.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay.
I would.
Surprisingly high, more than I expected.
This book completely deserves it.
I should have never called you in.
Yes, yeah.
This thing is incredibly rare. It's not something you run into very often at all. So even for me, I handle rare books everyday basis, and this is something that I haven't seen.
So she said a lot of people really want it very badly.
Yes.
The only question is, how badly do you want it?
So I'll give you the $6,500.
Well, now that I heard the expert's evaluation, I mean, I want to be fair to you and everything. What about 12,000?
You know how it is. I mean, the more expensive it is, the longer it sits.
This is a very important book.
It's a very important book. I know that just the way Rebecca acted. Let me give you 10 grand for it. I think 10 grand is fair.
I'll make it simple. 11, right down the line. That's a very, very fair price. You would be under British taxation if it wasn't for this book. You have to pay 11 for it.
I'll tell you what. Next time you're in here with a book, you're going to give me a little better deal. I'll give you 11 grand. All right? I was definitely not intending to spend $11,000 on this book. But I have to admit, this is beyond cool. I might have to make this a Christmas present to myself.